been living in an apartment, one bedroom. I'm going on my 6th year of renewing my lease. So this will be my 6th year living here, sixth renewal. Moved in 2019. And my rent started off at $980 then. And every year my landlord has increased the rent between $50 and $100 a month. And now it's going to be $1370 going forward. And there's been no upgrades to it. It's a one bedroom. It's got no washer dryer and unit. Well, it's in the basement, but it costs $3 a load or whatever. And then, it's 120. Yeah. So it's like $250 a load. There's no dishwasher, like very outdated. It's a vintage building. Otherwise, like, I don't know, it's generally fine. It's a big place. But no bells and whistles. And I've put in like in the 6 years I'm 5 years living there officially. I've put in maybe a handful of maintenance requests. The main thing being that like the heat wasn't working, and that could be a big deal to the city that my apartment was below 68 degrees, you know? So, my landlord has worked with me on that. But again, it's like I'm not like putting in a new maintenance request every month for something. And so really, there really shouldn't be like a bunch of new expenses accruing. And he every year raises the rent, even though like, hey, maybe it'd be nice, to like reward loyalty, even though no one does anymore.
You're right. She's spot on. Nobody will typically reward loyalty. I mean, at the end of the day, like they in it to get paid. It's so interesting because, yeah, I think she recognizes the rent renewals, they happen. But I got to be honest, man, I don't know why people feel like there's a legal obligation for apartment complexes or landlords to actually upgrade, your premises, your crib, every time they do a rent increase. Unfortunately, that's not a part of the deal. I'm like, y'all, I wish it was. I know what it's like living in an apartment building and you come in, you live there for a while, and then, a few years later, they renovating all of the places around you. And now you look up and the other apartments, they're more renovated. They're more stylish. I've lived that situation. But this is the one caveat that I can say I was blessed in my situation is that they didn't take and increase my rent to the degree of the people that were in these newly renovated apartments. So that's one caveat. Now, it would totally suck if you live in an apartment building where they're so scammy, they're so diabolical that they will charge you the same rent for your older, unrenovated apartment as the new ones. Now, that right there that's diabolical. Now, it may be different if you get to the point where, after a bunch of years living there, the rent renewal, it kind of brings you on track with that. But in most cases, that shouldn't happen. And if it is, like those landlords, they scummy. They scummy for doing that. But yo, let's check out the rest of what she had to say.
But part of it is this includes an outdoor parking spot. And he's like, well, part of the increase this year going up from right now I pay I think it's $12.50. It's going to be like $13.70 now. He said that parking is increasing from $105 to $115. And it's an outdoor uncovered spot, and my spot is right in front of a speed bump. So every time I back up, I have to like gas it, like I have to like slowly like gas myself over the speed bump. It's really not convenient, but it is convenient in the fact that if I come home late, I'm not walking far and like trying to find street parking. But I just texted him and I was like, hey, are you willing to negotiate on the parking increase per se? Because I understand needing to maybe increase like the base rent for...
Now, I got to respect her, right? See, she is more level-headed than a lot of people are, especially those that I feature in some of my videos here on the channel, which is understanding how this works. And it's a good thing that she has a landlord that she's able to communicate with and, potentially negotiate. That's something I've talked about in a previous video. When you do have a landlord who is open to negotiating, that is a blessing. Typically you're not able to do that when you're living at an apartment building and, it's more run on a corporate type of thing where it's just like, hey, this is what it is. You either agree or you don't. Like, we're not really here to negotiate. But when you are in a position where you are with a private landlord, like I mentioned, you definitely should try your best to stay in good graces, in a good relationship with that landlord so that you can, if needed, negotiate. And I like the fact that she was able to recognize that, hey, man, the likelihood of me being able to get this landlord to back up on the increase when it comes to the base rate, probably not likely. But can I potentially get them to lower that additional cost for the parking? Because I feel like this is where they really get you. Like, the rent is one thing, right? I can understand why they may increase the rent on the renewals every single year. But when they start hitting you for stuff that really isn't changing, like the parking spot, like what's really going to change with the parking spot that you would need to increase the cost for that? Now, if it's something like sewage or whether it's something like trash removal, you may see why they can increase it if the cost is now going to increase for them because of the people that are providing that service. But yeah, I'm with her. I think, yo, let's talk about this increase for this parking spot that, yo, it's not changing at all.
Taxes and all that, but I don't understand. There's like been absolutely no improvement to the parking spot. It's not like he's repaved it. It's not like it's not even gated. It's not even like, not only is it not covered, it's not secure parking. So I don't understand where the $10 a month increase is justified from. So I'll let y'all know what he says, but I just would be really curious. And this is all altogether a 7% increase, which, it could be worse, but I'm like, dude, you're not at it. Like, there's no additional value that I'm getting out of this apartment. It just like continues to decrease in value.
I gotta say this, man, right? Like, I don't understand why people feel like an apartment is going to appreciate in value. It's not an asset. It is literally an expense. It's a liability. And there's one way financially that you are able to offset and minimize the impact of expenses. It's by increasing your income. Now, I know what people are going to say, man, the job market is hard. All of this stuff is tough. I hear y'all. But let's be honest, there are so many different opportunities where you can make additional money on the side. It's just the fact that many people are unwilling to do it. They want what comes natural. They want what comes easy. They want what is within their comfort zone. And this is the thing. You have to make sacrifices if you want to be somebody that is either financially free, or definitely if you want to be somebody that has accumulated some wealth. So it's a mindset shift where you should be anticipating these things. Like, I don't know how other people operate, but if you're listening to this channel, I would advise you, if you live in an apartment building, know that the increase is going to happen each year. I personally factor in at least an increase of potentially 10%. And it's like, okay, cool. I know if my rent is going up by 10%, I need to figure out how I can begin to make an extra 15% or extra 20% when it comes to my income. Can I do that? So for example, if your rent is going to go up, let's just use a outlandish amount, right? Let's say $200 your rent is going to increase next year, right? Each month, $200. Now, can I figure out a way that I can bring in an extra $250 a month? Can I increase my income on a monthly basis to $300 extra dollars a month? So then I offset it, where not only am I able to cover that additional increase without having to have a financial impact on what I'm doing, but I'm actually bringing in some extra additional money. Now, of course, we always want stuff to stay the status quo, but we live in a society, especially when it comes to apartments, where that's just not likely to happen. So you have to be wise when it comes to managing your money financially and putting yourself in the best position to stay ahead of these increases that are going to come to these expenses.
Decrease in value. Every year it gets older and there's been absolutely no upgrades to it. So, yeah, I'm kind of outraged that he's increasing it 7% instead of like 3 to 5%, or even just like $50, but, which is a nice even number. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. And again, like for a 1-bedroom, I feel like I can't really complain because $1,380 is not the worst, but just from living there for 5 years, to look at the like beginning to the end process of what I'm paying, and again, the value of what I'm getting is very discouraging.
So here's one last note that I will say, and I want this to be the nugget that you take away from this video if you are serious about putting yourself in a better financial position, right? This young lady said that she lived at this apartment complex for multiple years, more than 5 years, right? So when you think about that, you want a 3 to 5% only increase on the rent, or just $50. But you got to ask yourself, are you increasing your income at the same rate? Like, we can't be reliant on a job. We can't be reliant on, just your salary. And what I mean by that is, only relying on that as the only way that you can earn income. Like in the society that we live in today, there are other ways. Now, I'm not saying you got to go out and get a second job. I'm not necessarily even saying that you got to go start some lavish business. But is there something that you can do on the side to be able to bring in a couple $100s? Not nothing crazy, just a couple extra $100 a month, where you can begin to do what? You can begin to prepare for these increases so that you can offset them. Or reduce some of the expenses that you have and take the amount that you cancel these subscriptions and you put that amount into an account and you prepare for the increase. I think preparation is what we need to be focused on when you know that it is inevitable, if you live in an apartment, that the rent is going to increase over the next year. Prepare yourself for it so it doesn't catch you off guard. But that's my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, what has your experience been with rent renewals? How do you feel about this young lady's situation? Do you feel like it's unfair? Have you ever negotiated with a landlord and did it turn out to be in your favor or not? We'd love to hear your thoughts and your experience. Feel free to share them. Before you go, you ain't got to subscribe. You can do that only when you're ready, but please check out the video that's on your screen so we can keep this party rolling. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, stay blessed.